VOTCast, brought to you by Nordic Podcast.
All right, welcome. We're
Thank you.
lucky to actually be joined by Reinert Kiil. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, close.
Close.
Chill.
Kiil.
Yeah.
Dude, so first thing I noticed was, we met by chance at this shoot on one of these projects you're working on, right? It's still ongoing?
Yeah, but the corona took it down. We were in Argentina. I told you about that in November to sell it, and that was the latest I have worked on that project, because in February, I think, or March was it, the corona took over.
Right.
So, but I got to show the picture we took of you.
Right.
It looks amazing, I think.
No, the first thing I remember was how professional you guys were backstage when it comes to capturing the like the actual art. Because cinematography is not easy to do, especially, I have noticed, Norwegian film culture. They don't really focus too much on that, like how the background speaks to you. And I've noticed your style is kind of, I don't use the word unorthodox, but it's kind of unique.
That's good to hear. I think that's the best thing to hear, because when I started making films, it was my biggest focus was to make something that wasn't Norwegian, because I hated Norwegian films. Even when I would grow up, of course there are some good films, I think, from Norway as well, but it was something about the style in Norway where we never dare to show anything, and we always hold back on like expression of what the characters go through and stuff like that. And for me, I'm more about showing, and and I love to keep the audience on edge from the start of the film, start of the story. I love the atmosphere more than the main story in a film also.
And that's exactly what I felt. That atmosphere, the cinematography I'm talking about, that there was actually effort put to that, which is rare. It's very much rare.
That's good to hear. We will see when the film
But are you working on anything right now? I mean, with the corona pandemic, I know that to film, you need a crew, you need cameramen, you need sound guys, that's at least 50 people in one spot.
Yeah, but the coronavirus made it a little bit easier, because I'm from the underground, you know. I started making films alone, and when everything was shut down, I just felt I went crazy walking around home. So I just looked at the rules they put out, like what's legal and what's not. And then I found out that I just want to make a feature now, when nobody is walking in the streets, nobody's doing anything. So now I just want to make something. And so I've been working on a feature when everybody else has been home waiting for the founding of the films.
Right.
So we have just finished film that feature and editing it as well. So now we are going into music. So in 2-3 months, I think we have a finished feature from the corona time.
That's actually like one for the books. That's one for history.
I hope so.
I mean, how many people can say they made a movie during that period?
I don't know.
Everything stopped.
But I'm hoping that people have done something in silent, you know. That's my biggest dream, because the main reason why I do films is because I love films. That's my life. So I just hope they're coming out like 1,000 of corona films, but in like some months.
A whole genre.
Yeah, corona genre. That's good. I just saw that somebody in America swapped the title of a zombie film coming called Corona Zombies. So, but I think it was a movie made like 2 years ago, and they found out now they can make money out of the corona name.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Everyone is jumping on that train.
Yeah, I think so.
But I see that. Okay, you obviously are, you write, you produce, you direct, so you come with so many other point of views that really makes someone have control over the story they're telling or the mood that they want a character to feel. And it's kind of an unfair question, but where would you usually see yourself working most comfortably?
As a director. Yeah, but I never actually done a directing job yet, I would say, because I'm always doing a lot of other shit, you know. Right. So I feel that if I one day get to the opportunity to actually direct something without thinking about the cost, thinking about the actors, like how to get them and stuff like that, I think that will make my day. It's been a long journey, and I think it's time now for me to direct my first film, just direct.
Right.
But that's what I feel most comfortable doing.
You worked on a movie that it's more like we're speaking about it shortly before, like almost like a cult classic outside of Norway. It's really getting critical acclaim within certain niches in the U.S. I heard it was banned in a state.
Minneapolis.
Really?
Yeah, it was like they tried to put it, because in America they have to put like bigger genre festivals have to get like a censor for the films. I don't know if they do it still, but they did it back to 2012 at least.
Right.
And I just got a message from the distribution company in Norway that the film can't be screened. It's too hard. And then I sent some messages back and forward to the owner of the festivals, and he said we need to censor the film, yeah. And I said, no way, you're not censoring, because that's the main idea with the film. Was it's when you watch the film, I want people to feel sick and ask themselves the question, why do I want to see this?
What was the name of the movie, and what was it about?
It's about the name is Hora,
Right.
the whore,
Right.
and it's about a woman that's traveling to her cabin after her mother died, and she gets tormented and raped by these local rednecks, one guy from Sweden, Denmark, and Norway.
Wow.
And it's like taking up that joke that's always the Swedish,
Danish and Norwegian.
and then she takes revenge on them on the hardest way. And you have done like 100 of films before like that, but I wanted to make a meta aspect of that film, where I put the audience as actually the main focus in the story, where you are sitting there asking yourself, why do I want to see this? Because you know from the first second of the film that this woman is going to get almost killed. So why do you want to see more? Because you know the entire story. So we are actually doing, in the end of this film, we are actually cutting the film off on the end scene of the film. So what you've been waiting for, you don't even get to see.
Oh wow! Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, but
Wow.
that does the film even better for me if people know that, because if you still watch the film, it just means that you're a complete sicko. and that's what was the idea behind the film. And I took the idea from Funny Games from Michael Haneke. So it was, he made a film where he actually showed me the middle finger when I watched it, because I don't want to spoil that film.
Right.
But when you get to the end, you feel like he's just putting up the finger in my face.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, and
no, but that's what I mean. And this is, I mean, let's say someone here wanted to get hands on the movie. How would they go about doing it? Like, it must be really rare. Is it on Amazon? Is it on app?
it was possible to get it through the Netherlands and through America until 2018, I think. But then the rights went back to my company and back to one of the other co-producer of the film. So the movie is no longer available. But it got a limited release last year from Germany. That was like a big sleeve edition Blu-ray.
Right.
But it was only 300 copies, and so, but I think it's available, but you have to pay like 300 to 600 kronos just to get a DVD.
Yeah.
But of course, on illegally down.
Right.
Yeah.
There are always other means. Right.
And I don't care anymore. Everybody is doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
What is your impression on that? Generally,
I think it's too late. It's impossible now. Before I was really against it. But it's impossible anymore, because even if you take down all the streaming sites around there, you will still have people who download it illegally, and they will show it to their friends, and it's a bad circle. And if I go against it, then everybody will hate me for doing that as well. So it's too late. But what I hate about it is that they don't know if it's a rated version. They don't know if it's the right version. You know what I mean? Right. So you can't. You don't actually know what you are seeing when you see downloaded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Could be anything.
So how does a square peg fit into a round hole, as you say? How does a person with your unorthodox creative powers fit into a Norwegian film industry that is very smooth around the edges, very we need this, we want this, we watch this?
I'm hoping now, because we are starting to open up a little bit. I'm seeing it in the future. I think that because I think the world now is in a dark place when it comes to films where we are creating only stuff that has been created a million times before, and we are scared of doing new stuff. And I think Europe are probably a little bit now part of that American culture, not culture, but you know what I mean, the industry, where we are trying to make catastrophic films, or what you call it, like those
end of the world
end
movies.
of the world, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So you've seen it in America done better, and now we are doing it in Norway. So I'm thinking maybe in 10 years we are maybe in a better spot where we can actually start to play a little bit like we did back in the 80s and 90s, at least in the south of Europe and America.
Did you see this movie from South Korea? Do you guys Parasite?
Yeah, I've seen it. I liked it. It was good, but it was kind of hard for me to see it because the director I love so much, and I think that's one of his weakest. That is his weakest film so far.
Wow.
So it's like his, how you say it, his
resume. Or
resume.
right.
It's every film is like 8 out of 10, or you know what I mean.
That's amazing.
And I love Parasite, but it was his weakest film, I think, so far. Many would argue and say The Host was, but I think The Host is a perfect genre film. It was, yeah.
Because the reason I bring it up is coming back to like the disaster movies that Norway is starting to make, and trying to emulate the American film industry with what they have, or as you said, trying to follow in their shadows in the sense of that industry, because it has been done to death, disaster movies.
Yeah.
And so on. But look at a movie like Parasite, where it was literally 8 actors.
Yeah.
One house.
Yeah.
Why don't we see more story-driven or character-driven movies like this from Norway? Like, what is the Norwegian film industry lacking?
I think that that was actually a perfect way to go into this, because what that movie does, it takes realism into surrealism in a good way. It ends up crazy. In Norway, I would say we do only realism. It's like, even if we did like, I don't remember the name for those catastrophes, the wave and those
the flood,
films.
the wave, right.
Yeah, and when we do films like that, we try to keep the characters as realistic as possible. And when I watch a film, I want to go into an adventure. I want to experience something wow, and then go out from that and feel the boring real world,
Right.
So I don't want to watch a movie just in the same way I watch out my window at home.
Right.
That's boring.
That's a documentary.
That's a documentary, yeah.
Exactly.
And Norway are good with documentaries. But for me, I wouldn't say that Norway is bad making movies, because people love films from Norway. But for me, it's not my cup of tea, and I'm sad to say it's never been.
Right. No, I agree with you. It's unfair to say that the Norwegian industry can make good movies, because Max Manus was a really good movie I liked, and it was a Norwegian movie, and there are many others that many people can name, but that one, it was, I would say, my favorite quote-unquote Norwegian movie. Though for a country that has the resources it has, you would think it should play a bigger role. That is at least my perception. Is it that the resources are not prioritized?
It's strange, because I work with props, for many years,
right?
And props is probably, or art department is probably the place where you use really a lot of money, and you throw away a lot of money as well, because you use it wrongly. But in Norway, I would say that we are really good using the money, putting the money in the right places, because we don't have that much money, and we have like 20 people on set. In America, they use 200 people on set or 300 people on set. So I would say that Norway probably have one of the best technician kind of way of working with films,
right.
and the structure is good. But when it comes to the founding, they are scared of putting money into movies they don't know actually could play out. Because if I would say Alpha X, the sci-fi film,
right,
they would think, okay, sci-fi, that cost like 20-40 million just to make on UFO and space and stuff like that. And then you will put action inside that as well. Okay, action costs 20-40 million as well. But it doesn't need to. If you watch like Robert Rodriguez, like El Mariachi or Desperado and films like that, they weren't that expensive. No. And it's strange, that's from the 90s, and still we are back to basis.
Exactly. No, you really hit a point there where one has a preconceived notion of certain budgets that go along with certain movies. Did you watch the movie The Signs with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That was a sci-fi movie that was tremendously low budget. You never even saw the alien until like briefly towards the end you saw a hand and him passing really quickly. You know, so it was like they're always around this, but these are creative problems that are solved creatively with solutions. You know, these are not hindrances that make you avoid the genre completely.
Yeah. And I think maybe we can go on and make something like that in the future of Norway, but I think we should have been already down the road of making Desperado in Norway and making, like, you know, big westerns. We have the perfect scenery in Norway to make really cool westerns. And it's like...
You have a point. The scenery here is amazing.
It is, and we have everything. And we like, when it comes to nature.
Exactly.
It's like New Zealand. We have everything. And but we don't explore it, and if we do, we only make it like for tourism. I feel like we just want to show the big mountains, but we need American films to come here, like Mission Impossible, to shoot Prekestolen and then tell it was in another country, wasn't it in the story that it was like said it was in India or something?
Right, they didn't say it was in Norway.
No, I don't think so.
No,
so it's
like the new Nolan movie Tenet.
Yeah,
they shot some of it in Norway at the Opera House.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Cool.
And now I'm wondering, will this say that is in Oslo, Norway?
It's probably in New York. Probably in New York.
A street in New
Or
York.
India.
No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Though, I feel like people usually have dream projects. Do you have one of those?
Yeah. I have a movie from... Actually, I hate remakes, but this movie I feel needs to get a remake because the story is so good, and it's my perfect film, I think. I think I can make this film as perfect as possible. It's like when John Carpenter makes the remake of The Thing.
Right.
I think this is my movie, and it's Hidden. It's from 87, and it was...
Hidden. Can we see what that looks like? Hidden 1987.
I think it was 1987. And it's aliens on Earth, and it's like a thriller. It's more a thriller than a sci-fi, but the whole movie is about atmosphere and about the danger the alien is bringing to Earth. And
wow, right. Hidden. Is this it?
No, but that's also a good film.
That's in 1987.
Maybe it's called The Hidden, or Hidden. I don't know.
The Hidden Fortress.
No. Try to put 1987. There it is.
The Hidden.
Yeah, it's...
I actually haven't even heard about this.
No, many haven't, because it didn't get cinema release, and it was like... But it's been like a cult classic in the aftermath, I should say. So it's...
This is definitely going on the to-watch list. I'm a huge fan of... sci-fi movies, alien movies specifically.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
And if you watch this now, of course it's old and they didn't have that much money and stuff. But think about this being remade with a little bigger budget and a little bit more like the vibe of The Abyss or one of that. You know what I mean? Like you keep it a little bit more down low or low key.
The budget was $10 million.
Yeah, so that's 100 million Norwegians about, and that's a pretty low budget in America.
No, absolutely. And technology has come far enough to be able to recreate better graphics with less money.
Yeah.
So it's 1987. It's a long time away, and I'm sure you could make it with the same or less.
As long as you keep away the CGI shit, like just they try to fix everything with CGI today, and but that's also the reason why we were talking about this before when we worked on Alpha X. It's why I love when men are men and women are women in films, are more or less like, if you put a woman that are more like a man in a film like before, it was not that usual to do that, so it was cool when it happened. But nowadays I feel in action films all women are going to be like men, and I don't know, mostly men are becoming more and more women in films.
No, you are so right. One is seeing these. Before it was special, it was cool, like in Terminator, Sarah Connor. Oh, it was unorthodox. It was, kind of badass that she would have these manly, you could say, qualities to her. But when every single female character is like that, and then every male character is the opposite, we have kind of lost something here in the sense that it's not special anymore.
Yeah.
The whole point was the shock factor of it being special.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of boring.
And it's like if you take Aliens as well, you know the sequel, not Alien, but Aliens.
Right.
You have that, I don't remember her name. I always remember her name, but the Latino woman in that film.
Was it Jennifer Lopez?
No, no. It
No.
was.
She was in one of Alien movie, right?
But she's
Right.
so badass in that film, and she just have this small part, but that's the character I remember most from the film, even more than Ripley. And it was
Wow.
like, I remember I was young. I wanted to be like her. It was like going to the gym and trying to train, be like the woman in that film. But it was because it was orthodox, as you say,
Right.
and also that she was. I felt that she was a little bit crazy. Also, you know, she was dangerous. She had something that the guys didn't have, because why was she as hard as them, or even harder? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the same with Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 as my favorite film of all time. James Cameron.
Yeah.
He made Sarah Connor more crazy in the sequel. She was in a mental hospital, and she was actually putting the needle into the hand.
Right.
You know.
She was.
And that's also the reason why I think she got so badass in that film, was because she was a little loose in her head.
Exactly.
And you get scared of that. So
No, you're absolutely right. And in a way, if we switch the time, we see now the unorthodox things is actually a woman being extra feminine in a role in movies. Now that's unorthodox because everyone has played that to death, you know, the toughness and the Sarah Connor-like attitude, which is good and fine. But now breaking that is going back to the traditional quote-unquote qualities associated with women.
Yeah.
That is now unorthodox a lot in series and movies, which I find is very interesting. It's like we're going backwards in the sense that we're returning to certain old values that are being proven unorthodox. I personally, like you said, it's cool to have when men are men and women are women. I personally enjoy, if it is true to that character's development and it is true to that, like the worst thing I hate seeing on movies is when you have this 60-kilo woman who body throws a 240-kilo guy. It's not realistic.
No.
But wait, but does that mean all women can't? No, that has nothing to do with that. You need to get a character that can do that is realistic. Woman or man, it doesn't matter. So it has to kind of embrace the story, and we're sacrificing story or character development for shock value. I don't know what to call it. Trying to break the mold, trying to repeat something that has worked before, overuse of a formula. No offense to Marvel, but we see that a lot in Marvel movies where they find a formula that works.
I think they can actually, that's okay because it's superheroes, I think, and it's
right,
and
of
it's
course,
more,
of course. But I was trying to say, like, they overuse a certain formula in Marvel movies. Like if you take all the Marvel movies made and you play them simultaneously, the action starts more or less the same time frame. The second sequel where there's always action and then a break, a pause, a throwback, and then a second, and they all follow this formula. Obviously it works. They're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, but I think it works because of the commercial value that people are going, like it's like soap series. If you watch it, you get stuck to it. Right. You know what I mean? Drawn in, yeah. But I think when we were talking about the women now, it was like with the superhero, I feel actually it's okay for me.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to where we were into, like, if I see a Cyborg from the MMA world, you know, I would believe that she could throw anybody.
She could rip anyone's arm off. Like, she's a beast.
But when I see like a 60-kilo or 50-kilo woman walking along, like the new Tomb Raider film, I was a little bit like, it doesn't work for me at all. It was no,
exactly. No, one has to. Let's not sacrifice the character development or the story for, I don't know, shock value or repeating a formula.
And that's the crazy thing, is that if you look back to the 70s and the 80s of the ninja films that was brought out from Asia or America, and if you look at the Bruceploitation films and all of those films, they were mostly like Asian people are pretty small. The one from China and from
right,
but they were really good at fighting and stuff. But normally if they put them against bigger guys, they use humor, because
Oh, I've never thought about
yeah,
that.
most of the films they use humor, and it was. I love those films,
Right, right.
and of course I would actually believe that one of those guys could be one of those. But I think the reason why I love them so much is because they are a little bit ironic as well. They are taking the martial arts seriously, but they're taking the characters ironically.
Right.
So that's make me I believe the universe, and that they could do the same with small guys, small women in
Right,
nowadays as well.
right.
But they don't do that. They make it completely serious, and you have like a 60-kilo woman coming in beating up like 100 guys in a room, and it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work.
No.
And I'm sure that if you look at, pick any field, if there's a medical operation in a movie that heart transplant shouldn't work that way, you have doctors that are outraged. And I'm sure that, there are certain niches and people that are like looking at a movie and going, that doesn't work in real life. I'm sure like plenty of complaints when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Though it's funny you mentioned that, like, I never really thought about the humor and the martial arts aspect in Asian fighting movies. Or that's really interesting.
But think about the fighting scene with the baseball player and Bruce Lee. I'm laughing my ass off. The
Which one was
big
that?
guy.
Right.
I think he's a baseball
Game
player.
of Death?
Is that Game of Death or Enter the Dragon? I don't remember.
It might be Enter the Dragon.
I don't.
Oh,
I
it's-
always mix those films, but it's a lot of humor in that scene. There you have like the foot mark on
Right.
the and stuff, and when I watch it, like I haven't seen it for some years, but last time I saw it, I was laughing through the entire scene. But also I love the not the structure, but how you say like the way Bruce Lee was doing his martial arts. It looks incredible.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, many hail him to be the founder of MMA. Like, this guy was ahead of his time, not only in martial arts, because there is also footage of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu he did,
Yeah.
but also his movie making skills and his writing. Definitely he had a lot to give that we didn't see his complete works yet.
Yeah. He should have come out nowadays, because now he
d-
would have made like 100 films, and it was like it was a little bit too early, but he was the one who started actually breaking into Hollywood and doing like making Asian people actually become heroes in America.
Actually,
And
no, you have a point there. You have a point. I think he died at like 30, 32.
yeah,
Way
and his
too
son
early.
as well,
Yes.
Brandon Lee.
Yes.
It was 93, I think, or something. He was shot on set.
93.
Wasn't it 93 or 94 maybe?
Whoa.
I remember he did Showdown in Little Tokyo, because that was one of my favorite films when I was young. Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee together, and he went out with rapid fire afterwards, and then I think he got killed during the production of The Crow, and he was shot. He did a backflip on the film, I remember, but I don't remember which film it was. If it was The Crow.
It might have been The Crow. Yeah, it was The Crow.
Okay, yeah, and I remember just that really well, because when you grow up from the 80s, it was like Van Damme, it was Dolph Lundgren, it was Schwarzenegger, it was Stallone, and Chuck Norris, of course, and you had even Steven Seagal and all those.
Oh, that guy. I can't stand. I'm sorry, I can't stand Seagal, man.
But
I get the point. It was this group of people were dominating the action class.
But you also got to remember, he wasn't Steven Seagal as he is today, back in the 80s.
You're right.
Because when I saw him in Market of Death and those films, and it was the first actually films, except Commando, that was R-rated, because he was breaking their arms and stuff like that, and it was.
You're right. He did bring this violent aspect, this R-rated aspect to martial arts.
Yeah.
And as you said, he was one of the first.
I think it was actually the first who did like, it was like R-rated action films that was just for the people over 18, and
Yeah.
So it was a special, but it was his first films up to Under Siege, and then everything went down. When he started talking about learning the MMA people how to fight, that's when I lost respect.
Yeah, when he started pretending as if movie fighting and him being a coach in the UFC is no, man.
But you see pictures of him behind the old Russian dictator, I would say, but I don't remember who it was. But you see pictures of him around the world, like together with like big politicians,
names,
and so it's. I think he worked in some kind of way.
The guy's a mystery man.
Yeah.
So how does a kid that I mean, you're born in Hammerfest?
Yeah, born in Hammerfest, yeah, but I lived. I'm from Honningsvåg. Yeah.
Because the journey, like the amount of space you've covered, is a lot. Is a lot of both artistic and, as I said, in so many fields in film industry, in series, in short films, producing, writing. But how does one get interested in something like this? Is this something you have always felt you had in you? Is this something you have been inspired?
Yeah, I think, like I said, film was the most important thing in my life. It saved my life in many ways because I know this is like a cliche, but when I would grow up, I was really picked on during some years of my life, and I had suicidal thoughts, and I was really down. And I remember I went into the I went into the dark room, as I said today, and watched films all day long and all night. And I didn't go to school for like weeks because I hated school. And I lied to my mother, saying to her that I went to school, but actually I just went out the door and inside again to watch films until she knew about it, of course. And then I was fucked.
Oh God! How long did you manage to keep this up for?
Actually, I did for almost 3 years, but I was like, I went to school some days,
right?
But it took
to dilute it.
Yeah, to dilute it. But I was put in front of the class for like 2 years because I was almost never in school, so the teacher needed to know that I was there and that I was actually listening to what she was saying and stuff. But that even made the school worse for me. Because I wasn't good in the Norwegian, also like Norway,
Norwegian language.
I was good in Norwegian language, but I wasn't good in like writing essays in the correct formula.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But the teacher loved my stories.
Right.
But then I started to write, about dark things, about suicide and about stuff like that.
Right.
And then that got focused. I was taken out of the class to have a special class for me, and like everything went really dark for me for a time. But film was the only thing I had. And I always went home to watch films, and I wanted to escape the real world. And that's the reason why I focused my entire life on films. All my relationships has gone sour, everything has gone downhill because I focus only on work. And I'm not regretting it today because I know I would have been dead today if it wasn't for films. It was my love of life.
Right. That's one thing I've actually seen in common with a lot of people, and even some people we've had it here on the podcast. High school dropouts, or they didn't like school, or they didn't, and yet we see it's very against the grain of the narrative of what happens to a quote unquote high school dropout, but or someone who doesn't like school.
Yeah, either they die or they make it. No, I'm kidding.
Those are your options. But it's very interesting because it tells me at least two things, right? It tells me there's a fatal flaw in the educational system today. That's obvious, because if you look at even the way classes are built, you have classes, you have X amount of students, and then the shift, it's literally you're mass producing people for, this was the industrial World War II, you needed people to work more. You're literally creating as many people as possible for the labor force, and this is not an environment that supports creative outside the box thinking.
No,
because we're preparing you to work for a special job, X amount of hours. Creative thinking, get that out of here, And obviously this is why we will have a lot of flaws in the educational system. Like, why would a kid who is interested in expressing, not through the specific essay formula like you said with the Norwegian essays, but you're more interested in what is it saying? What is the art behind it? What are the stories? And somehow you get punished for it. Or, well, not punished, but frowned upon, or it's too unorthodox.
Yeah, but in the end of life, you get punished for it, because I'm sitting today thinking that I could have become something that I really wanted outside the industry as well.
Right.
So you could work on both sides. You know what I mean?
Ah, I see. Like play both fields.
Yeah. But I don't think I got the opportunity because I hated school, and it wasn't because of the homework and stuff like that. It was because I really hated to be asked in class about my homework. You know what I mean? Because it's a wrong thing to actually, if you know that somebody has done something wrong, I think it's wrong to put it out there to everyone, especially when you're young. Then
you're right.
It was like the worst thing I hated when I was young was being asked in front of the class about something from
Right.
homework, because I
It's
was
weird-
watching films.
Yeah, it's weird how that works though. Like
Mm.
we will literally go, oh, you have done this, stand up, or how come you haven't done your homework in front of 30, 40 people?
Mm.
And then later it's like, oh no, we don't shame people. Well,
Yeah.
you kind of do that every day.
You do it every day, yeah. And it was also kind of hard because we had, like, in Finnmark, where I'm from, in Honningsvåg, when I moved from there, I went to Alta, and there I started drama school, and I see back, we were like, I think we were 11 people or something in the class, and I'm the only person who work with films today, or work with drama in a way. The rest has gone different ways, and I was the one that was doing worst on school because I was only partying and doing my kind of stuff.
Right.
And I know it doesn't sound good that I was that I'm blaming the teachers and stuff, and I'm not trying to do that, but what I'm saying is that I think that the school system is so wrong, because it's kind of strange when I'm the guy who actually works with what I went to school of doing, and all the others are working in different fields, and some of them are not working at all.
No, you have a point. You have a point.
But I think maybe the struggle and maybe all of that makes my day of work, when I work today like 15 hours a day sometimes, I think it just feels like at least I'm at the point I want to be, or close to the point I want to come.
Right.
You know, I'm not doing something I hate.
Right.
That's
I think that is actually the answer to the question of why so many of them didn't make it. They've been working with something else, and then you did.
Yeah, maybe.
Despite is that that passion or that love or that
you get used to people working against you in many ways, because I think in my head I don't think that people were working against me, but I think in my head I felt that the teacher, you know what I mean, they wanted me to do bad. They wanted me to not succeed, because every time I went to school I felt that they were against me when I was young. And I think psychologically, in a way, I think that had made me stronger when it comes to not giving up, because I know that you're always on your own in many ways, and I'm from being from Honningsvåg back then was the same as being from, like, let's say a small town in the Netherlands and coming to Norway working with films in Oslo. I had no contacts, nothing. I had to work myself up from the scratch. And my father was a chef, and my mother was working as owning on washery, and everyone else in my family was fishermen and stuff like that. So there was no film in my blood.
How did they react when they heard you wanted to
laugh? It was stupid. It was, and you got to remember, I worked for free for like 5 years before I actually got my first money made from film.
5 years
at least. I started making my own film when I was 9, but that was just for fun. But when I got 18, I started making like small commercials. Everything was for free. It was like, and nowadays that's even strange to talk about.
No one is gonna work 5 years in today's society.
No.
And not get paid because of there's this aura of entitlement that has come with social media, I believe.
Yeah.
Because social media presents the world in a way that you are the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Because you obviously log onto your profile, and all these other profiles are like staring at you and liking and sharing and commenting. You literally are the center of the social media world.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be entitled? Why wouldn't you be like, how come my first commercial didn't make this much?
Yeah.
And I cannot think of anyone, at least majority of the people, this in this generation, they're not gonna work 5 years without pay.
No. It's hard nowadays to get like people coming for 2 weeks without pay if you want to make something cool. And even if they haven't done anything before, it's much harder today to get like, because if you say, yes, I'm going now to work for free for a feature, in 2 weeks I will working 3 weeks for free, and I could say no to that and rather take another job, but it's a really cool project, and I have friends in that project that I really support, and I really want them to succeed. And I know they could never make that film without all the people around them supporting them. And I think that's how do we want to change the system and change the culture, not culture, but the art in Norway, if we are not willing to sacrifice 3 weeks of no pay.
No, exactly.
And
Absolutely.
that's the thing. But I'm really terrified calling people today, asking them, look, I have almost no money, but I can pay you a bit, you know.
Right. The budget for the movie
Yeah.
is very little, but you can
I'm
pay them a
scared of
bit.
people
Yeah.
going to social media saying this jerk called me, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And
Yeah, because they don't understand production budgets. They don't understand that. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, and also their expectations is a lot. They hear there's a commercial, they think they're gonna get paid 10,000.
yeah,
It's like, yo, how can you have that expectation when this is your first gig in a commercial? And then you call them and you say, look, we don't have that much money for this production, and you still offer them like 500 or 1,000, and then they're like, only, yo,
yeah.
you had to work 5 years for free first. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
But I can't like if I start to talk like that, it seems like you know what I mean.
Of course, they're not gonna
So,
take it nicely.
No, and but I think we are all. I was saying before we started this, like the word krenka in Norway. I don't know the English word for it.
Offended.
Offended, yeah. And everybody gets offended for everything nowadays. And even if you are totally honest, saying stuff straight out, look, I have no money. I'm just asking. Do you want to be part of this project? I feel that you have been so honest that you can be, and it's just say no.
Exactly.
But don't say yes and then be part of the project and come afterwards telling shit about the
Yeah.
project. And we experience that a lot through different projects in the industry, that people are, I will say, work on both sides of the border then, because they are throwing shit at you that you
Right.
can't defend.
But that's not entirely fair if you have, agreed to doing something for low pay as an extra one, as an actor, and then later on come and blame the production company for not paying you enough. Like,
Yeah, but I can tell you like a short story here that's really crazy.
Yeah.
It's we have some people in the movie industry that works with festivals, and if we have some internet, some Facebook sites that says that underpaid jobs and stuff like that just to come in the industry. And if people are putting stuff out on those kind of sites, some of these guys that works on festivals are saying, how the fuck can you ask people to work for free, and how can you do that, and da. And they have festivals where people, like, they have 20 people working for free through the entire festival.
of course.
But that's a different layer in the industry in some kind of way. I have no idea how it become like that, but that's something I will never understand.
Right. That's crazy. A lot of these festivals are possible because of volunteers.
Because of
Volunteers.
volunteers, yeah.
Because people are working without pay.
Yeah.
A lot of these big things are only possible because of that.
Yeah.
To protest
Yeah.
the core or the essence of a festival, but it comes back to entitlement, man. It comes back to the fact that they have nothing to show for and they want more than they can actually give.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's everywhere, obviously, entitlement, but Norwegian culture is not here.
We are bragging about us being so good in volunteer work in Norway, but I feel that we are the country that should brag at least. I've been in America working many times, and the thing is there, if you work inside the system there, you have to lie about taking jobs for free, because it's not legal to go outside I always forget the name of the community they have in America, where if you work for like 4 years, I think it is, for professional jobs, you get like not a green card, but you know what I mean.
Right,
like now
right.
you are entitled of that much pay.
Like benefits, or
Yeah, it's you have to work so many years to become part of that community.
I see.
And it's all over America, and that's a good thing. But they have to lie to that. They have to put a different name on the film if they work for free. But still, I worked on so many films in America where they lie, and they do that because they want to support their friends or project they believes in and stuff like that. And we have people in Norway as well, I just want to say that straight out, that do that.
Absolutely.
But there are fewer and fewer. And I think what we are losing with that is creativity, because the most creative projects you can work on are the projects with almost no money on it, because you don't have that many people on top saying.
Actually, yeah, this is one thing that makes me really respect the actor Christian Bale. Recently, he did an indie movie. He got paid little to nothing, like a random indie movie, low budget, it's probably student film, And he was like, no, I usually do this because I like the art.
Yeah.
It is very different from the major blockbusters or whatever, because you don't have an entire company or like Warner Brothers that is saying, no, don't say this, don't do this. So there's more creative freedom. And I absolutely see that, because with these small indie movies, you can really express a lot more
Yeah.
and go outside the boundaries.
We'll also have that with Christian Bale and Joaquin Phoenix. That's my favorite.
Yes.
And he's always doing everything voluntary when it comes to animal rights and films like that. Yeah, he has co-produced and also been part of like 20 films. I have most of them on DVD. Like films, Earthlings is the most famous one, where he talks about the animal rights and stuff like that. And he's really focused on that. And he must use like half of the year doing stuff like that.
So what is your creative process like? Because these things do not just happen. I've seen people look at a blank sheet of paper, staring at it, and they can't even push out a word. Like this Alpha X movie you're working with, you've been writing it for multiple years.
Yeah, that was
and it's very it's extensive.
Yeah, and that's the toughest project I have done so far. Like I'm worked on so far, because it's so many people that I have to focus on in the story.
Multi-layered.
Yeah, and they are swapping to, without giving spoilers, they are swapping in 2 different characters in the film. They are changing their characters to become something.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's and then you have like 7 characters becoming almost 14 characters.
Right.
Like so that's a tough film to work on. But I done 10 episode children's series that I worked on for almost 11 years now, but it's still in development. And that's the second project that I think I've been working a lot on. And that one was different because I was sending back and forward the script to another guy. I was working, Jan Helge
Right.
Lillevik. And so we worked with that, but mostly actually, this kind of strange saying, but most of my films I actually wrote when I was like 12 to 15 years old. And then I took them up again and I started rewriting them. Rewriting them, is that the word?
Yeah, rewriting.
Rewriting, yeah. And
but with like an adult experience. That's actually a really cool idea to take, like as you said, 12 to 18 and then rewrite it with what you know
but
now.
the crazy thing is that I have to censor them from I was young writing them. Like Christmas Blood, when I wrote that, and that's the only film I made so far that I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm ashamed of it, but I'm not that proud of it either.
How come?
I listened to the wrong people when I sent the script out, and also I did some big flaws when it got to focus on the film. I wanted the film to be a film that focuses on the darkness of Christmas, the atmosphere that people are scared of, like the magic behind Santa Claus when you're young and you think about Santa, because most kids are scared of Santa until they are like 6-7 years old. And I wanted to create a Santa that people actually my age were scared of. But I lost Santa. I lost him in the film because I listened to some producer I sent the script to, and they said, get rid of the Santa. Get rid of him as much as possible. Keep him magic. And I always forget that, because the script, I still have the original script. And when I read that, I think it's a much better story than I ended up with. And that's only me. I can't blame the producers. It's only my faults because I actually didn't dare to believe in my own story.
Right.
And the house was different again because I wrote it first in Norwegian, then I wrote it in English with bad English, because when I write English, you know that it's like Norwegian, Swedish, English, North Norwegian English in some way. It's but I sent it to a friend that was writing it in English, and I didn't feel that he actually managed to get the focus of what I was telling in Norwegian to English. So then I had to start write it again in my English.
Right.
And then I sent it to the actors, and I didn't know the actors at all. It was like German actors and I had no money for the project, and I was just sending it out to agents, and all the agents said no. And I found one guy I really wanted, Mats Reinhardt, it's his name, and I just saw some short films and a TV series he had done, and I just fell in love with the guy. He's 55 years old, like German, hard kind of tough actor, you know. And
As Germans are.
yeah, as Germans are. And I just loved him, but I sent it to his agent, and the agent said no. And then I did something you shouldn't do. I looked him up on Facebook.
The agent?
No, the actor.
The actor, okay.
Yeah, and I just sent him the script with a long message, and I didn't tell him that I sent it to the agent. And it was that the agent had never said it to him, like they have never talked. And he said yes, like 4 days before I had to have the
deadline.
the deadline.
Right.
Yeah. And then the movie was saved.
Wow.
Because he was, I couldn't have done it without him. Of course, I love Sondre and Fredrik as well in the film, but it was something with Mats that was just like, I could see the entire story through him. And that story was also strange because it's a story that you see through both of the Germans in different ways, because it swaps time in the film. So suddenly you are in the head of Fleiss and then you're in the head of Craner.
Oh, that's nice.
So
I
it
like
was
that.
important for me to...
That reminds me a little bit of, maybe not because I haven't watched the one you've made, but of Face Off.
Yeah, with John Travolta. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Because that one, it's like, for those who don't know it, obviously, you know, the swap faces, but the story also we see in the acting, because obviously they don't swap faces in real life,
Yeah.
but we see in the acting of how John Travolta takes on Nicolas Cage's
It's
mannerisms and
Yeah.
how the opposite also happens, and just directing that or writing that or acting that was something crazy.
Yeah, it was John Woo, wasn't it?
Was it?
It wasn't. Or am I totally missing here?
Who
John
made
Woo.
Check up Face Off.
No,
I know
maybe
it
I'm
was
missing
him.
this. John Woo. Yeah, I think so, because they had the shootout in the ending in the church, and you see the birds flying up, and that's
Yeah,
John
no,
Woo.
you're right,
It has
you're right.
to be John Woo.
He does that in all his movies.
Yeah, I love him in most of his films. Yes.
Face Off. Yeah, John Woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
The birds.
The birds.
Once
and then
again.
yeah, it was the mirror and the birds. I remember. So, but it's a great film, and
It's a classic.
it is. But it's not classic if you talk to if you go to a film festival, and that's another thing. I've been traveling around the world to film festivals, and
That's the meme.
yeah.
That's the meme. We see it everywhere. You say in film festivals they don't regard Face Off as a classic.
No, Face Off is that you could brag about saying it's a good 90s action film, you know.
Right.
But if you say that it's a classic, I would say they will laugh at you because
They're snobs.
But I've been like even think about this, even Terminator 2, that is a classic. That's like, for me, it's the most.
It is. It's
like,
not a classic for them.
No, it was maybe today, maybe I don't know, but before it was like I was really like fighting for those films because Face Off had actually, I saw it just 2-3 years ago, and it still is a good film.
Right.
It still works.
Right.
It hasn't lost its.
You see, I don't know who is behind these film festivals or what, but honestly, one thing we saw with this Corona crisis was the film industry will switch to streaming. Streaming, everyone who had their stuff in line when it comes to their streaming on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, they really benefited from the amount of available eyes to watch their streaming content. And big movies like Tenet of Nolan, Wonder Woman, DC Comics, all these multi-million, they couldn't even be viewed because no one could go to the theater.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think this is telling us is that the future, more and more people will release directly to streaming. Obviously, it's not a big shocker. Netflix does it, right? HBO does it. But what I mean is more and more independent artists will start doing that, meaning big companies like Warner Brothers, I feel, will be a thing of the past. Same way you have multiple YouTube accounts and everyone uploads a YouTube video. I feel we're going to have people just uploading movies, like home movies.
That sounds good. If that happens, that's something I'm for. Because what's happening now, the next 10, 15, 20 years, because they are Warner Brothers, Disney and all those, they are still going to be around.
Absolutely.
And
Too
for
big.
many, many years. But what's happening now is that Disney has bought up almost everything. And that's the main reason why Marvel has become so generic, is
Right.
that? Because it's part of Disney way of telling a story.
Exactly.
But I was talking to my friends when they were saying that the Black Panther, yeah, was the first like black superhero good movie.
First?
Yeah.
They haven't been paying attention.
No. And for me, probably the best superhero movie ever made that I could watch today, as well as the best, is Blade. I love it. And
exactly.
and
And
it's
it
the
is a Marvel superhero movie.
yeah, it's a Marvel, but most people don't know that. And the sad thing is that they will make now a new Blade, and
They are officially remaking it.
I think they already started.
Oh gosh, who's playing Blade? Let's get disappointed.
I think you can look it up
Who's
because
playing? Yeah,
I don't.
that's one thing the coroner should kill. One thing it should.
It's scheduled to release, or
I just saw the news like 1 year ago or something. So I think.
They might be in pre-production actually.
Okay. No, wait.
Yeah, it has been teased for Marvel Avengers Phase 4.
Oh man.
Marshall Ali.
He's not a bad. He's actually a really good actor. He's actually a really good actor.
I need. Him, yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
he's actually. I'm actually not.
No, it's not a bad call, but I'm
No,
saying
but
that
he doesn't
Wesley
need to-
Snipes is like for me, he will always be Blade. It's like swapping now Iron Man from Robert Downey Jr. to someone else.
Oh gosh.
It wouldn't work for me, and maybe in 30 years, but not now.
You're absolutely right.
And but Wesley Snipes, I still when I see him today, like photos, he still looks cool. He's still
He could still do it.
yeah,
He could
and
still
it would
do
be an old Blade, and that's really cool. Think about all the experience.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the stunt people can do all the work.
Yeah.
He just needs to stand on top.
Michael J. White there, he can
Exactly.
yeah, and that's also another superhero, Spawn.
Another one many people don't know about.
Yeah.
Spawn, Blade.
Yeah, there is more. It's
The first Ant-Man actually was on. I don't remember if it was Saturday Night Live way back, but it was a black actor.
okay.
Ant-Man
seen
first time he was on TV was by a African American.
Yeah,
So it's like there have been so many before.
yeah. But another thing you should look up after this
Right.
is that it's been so much focus on the sexism and the race and all of
Right.
that. But for me, I didn't start watching films with big American blockbusters. That wasn't my beginning. I watched on VHS the films I wasn't allowed to see, and that was normally films from Italy or maybe underground films from America and
Right.
Germany.
Right.
And back then, it was pretty normal to have women as the lead and strong character.
Exactly.
But nobody watched those films, and I have no idea today, because today when I watch them, I think they are actually just as good as the best blockbusters in America.
Right.
But I think it's something about the total culture of the society that even a movie that got out 2007 called Revenge, a Canadian-French film that is perfect in any ways, in every ways. I mean, it's about a lead actress in the same way as Hora was my film, that gets like raped and tormented
Right.
and everything, and then she takes revenge,
Right.
and the movie is called Revenge. But it's a perfect film, and I showed it to some friends, and everybody loved it. But nobody went to cinema and see it, and I tried to tell everybody, go and see it. It's made by a woman,
Right.
lead woman actress.
Why do you think it doesn't translate into action, in the sense of action that people actually go to the movies to watch this type?
I have no idea, actually. I have been thinking about that
Yeah.
for 20 years. Maybe it's because of that if you read about a movie and they say that, like say that the woman gets tormented and stuff like that, maybe a lot of the, let's say, feminists and are talking down on the film, because many people were going against Revenge.
Before watching it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still there was a female who made it, and I
Yeah.
met the producer of that film in Argentina when I was, and he said straight out, the only reason we could make that film was because it was a female director.
Absolutely.
But I think, go and watch the film.
Exactly.
And Babadook as well was a female director that made it.
Really?
Yeah, perfect
Babadook
film.
was good.
Yeah, but not many people watched it.
No, you said it right. People are in a state of wanting to be outraged about anything, and we're gonna have tormented people who just want to hate on a movie or
Yeah.
hate on this, and unfortunately, it's starting to affect the art.
Yeah, it
Unfortunately.
does.
I see that with Zack Snyder a lot.
Yeah,
I love Snyder for, again, cinematography, his vision boards, the way he plays with light and coloring,
Mm.
and he uses his use of allegory, meaning the way he uses known poems or known sayings
Mm.
or known phrases, but in picture form.
Mm.
So he shows it, and it's very subtle. Many people miss this. That's why many people hate Zack Snyder's movies.
Mm.
But the way he does this, it's how he's expressing his art. Leave him alone, you know?
Yeah. I'm totally agreeing. It's I think that the only reason he got so much hate is because of that many people think he ruined the DC universe. But
Which is the exact opposite. Like, this
Ye-
guy has saved, like, if we see his vision to the full,
yeah,
there's no other way I can imagine the DC universe being presented.
no, and that's maybe the Christopher Nolan version as well. I love that.
Yeah,
as well.
because it's deep in reality.
Yeah,
you know,
but it's
realism.
dark. Both of them are dark, and that's the important thing.
And they both worked on Man of Steel. Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder.
I didn't know that.
They did.
Yeah, cool.
So literally, Nolan and Snyder, even Interstellar, which is a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan spoke to Snyder about, the cornfield scene.
Yeah.
That was Snyder's idea.
Okay.
He says, grow the corn yourself, do it. So they speak a lot with each other, and they kind of have the
Yeah,
same
he did the
signature.
same in the Man of Steel, or was it Batman and Superman? He had also the
Yes,
corn scene.
yes,
Yeah,
that-
maybe
yeah.
it's the same place.
Same cornfield.
Yeah, same cornfield. No, but I didn't know that. That's cool.
So it's many people don't know that they worked on on Man of Steel, and even Wonder Woman, Snyder was behind that. But
Mm.
many people don't know. He helped the female director. I forgot her, Patty Jenkins, I think.
in one
Wonder Woman.
Wonder
the
Woman, yeah.
woman who directed Wonder Woman.
Oh, I
Patty
don't know her name,
Jenkins,
but
I think.
yeah.
They two cooperated and spoke a lot, and that's the thing. Once we see Zack Snyder's art reflected under a different name, people love it.
Yeah.
But once it's under his, people like. But art has to be really let to be expressed in a certain manner, as long as it is not downright displeasing and offensive.
Yeah.
You know.
But you can also watch Zack Snyder's remake again that I'm saying I'm hating, but that's actually the most perfect remake the
Right.
last 30 years, The
Right.
Dawn of the Dead. And
Isn't he making a new series on Netflix about that?
I don't know. I just
with that stand-up comedian? Yes, Chris D'Elia. He's making a zombie post-apocalyptic movie or series on Netflix.
okay.
That's what he's working with right now with Chris D'Elia. We have some shots. Can you find it? I think there was one. This was the movie he wanted to make with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers shut him down.
Oh, okay.
And he has said he has been trying to push this for a really long time.
And now it's hitting Netflix.
Now is Netflix saying, all right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, like we said, everything's going to streaming.
Yeah, it does.
If you go Chris D'Elia, Zombie, Zack Snyder, maybe. Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what he's making.
He's producing it. Yeah. Oh, he's
Directing.
Ah, cool.
Written and directed, I think.
I hope he goes back to the Dawn of the Dead, the look he had on that film, because I always say that the best opening in history is the opening of Dawn of the Dead, like the remake that Zack Snyder did.
How was the opening again? Remind me.
It's the woman at the hospital. She's working there, and somebody is spitting or is have like and then she goes home, and the next morning her daughter gets sick, and then you hear Johnny Cash play when the man comes around, starting up,
Wow, yes,
and
yes.
then you see
Louder
her
and
driving,
louder.
and then it's like, it gave me goosebumps just talking about it.
Look at the cast, though. We have Chris D'Elia, we have Dave Bautista, we have who is that? Is that that is not Michael J. White, is it? No. Raul Castillo. That's a really good cast.
Mm.
Omari Hardwick. No, it wasn't Michael J. White. Yeah, we need more of Snyder's vision to be just, do your thing.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Just don't do Sucker Punch once more. That's the one.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like
I
it.
loved it though.
I know
really
many
liked it.
people did, but it was too comic book for me. It was too.
Yeah.
I love anime, and I know that he tried to do some anime things there, but I felt that he should have done the characters in a studio and then anime behind them, because then you would have felt like the distance.
see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see.
But he tried to do the CGI universe with the characters as well, and it just felt for me a little bit flat.
Right.
But when that got out, you had The Spirit, that wasn't Zack Snyder, and you had also Sin City in that
Yes,
area.
that was a
But I loved Watchmen. Watchmen was like,
brilliant.
yeah, I think it was the best film that come out that year.
Even 300 was 300 around that era.
And it was some years before, I think.
Yeah, because that was again comic book based.
Yeah. I love that film as well. The elephants from Africa. It's like he's go way overboard on that film, and it started low key, but then it just went.
It really did.
So yeah, I love that film. And
Do you see Norwegian film culture reaching that stage anytime soon?
no, that's an easy answer for me.
That's a very quick and easy answer.
It's not because we can't. It's because we are focused. I'm saying we are focused.
Right.
From my point of view, is that we are focusing too much on the drama aspect when it comes to realism, and realism for me is really boring in films.
Right.
You should put realism in, but for me, you can play with anything in a film as long as I believe the universe. The universe in the film has to be believable, like in a Marvel film. That's why I said I believe the girls can kick ass in those films. But if you put Scarlett Johansson in a normal action film and she does the same, it looks stupid to me. And put Cyborg in that kind of role, then it would work.
Then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
it has to be faithful to the universe it's in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was the main idea if we go back to Alpha X again, was that I wanted to create something that was really off. You know what I mean? Like really 80s action. But I didn't want people to see the movie as just a retro 80 action film. I wanted them to believe the universe I was creating. And the universe I'm creating in that film, and that's no spoiler because you get that in the start, is that we are fucking with the heads of the soldiers.
Yeah.
And
Alpha X you talk about.
Alpha
right?
X, yeah. So and I believe that movie could have been made in Norway today if we got the funding, and I believe it would hit the cinema pretty good.
Pretty good. How much funding you need?
Maybe $2 to $3 million, I think.
2 to 3. It was my other pants.
Fuck.
Not in this jacket. It was my other jacket.
Yeah, I saw it out there. I'll take it.
Oh.
Yeah.
2 to 3 million. No, that's cheap. Like
It is,
in the grand scale of
Yeah, I think
the
so.
movie budget.
Yeah. We just want one what you call it, like an A-list actor.
Of course.
Because that's part of the storyline, and people will know it. It's not to sell the movie, actually. It's part of the story arc of the story.
I see.
Because people will understand it when they've seen it. But, and the rest, I need to have people who are not familiar faces from films like that, at least.
Right.
Serious actors, we have
Maybe Hivju from Game of Thrones.
Christopher Hivju, yeah, he looks good. He has a special look.
He does. Very unique.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And I love the other guy as well that I worked with him a couple of times, Jørgen Langele. I think he's probably Norway's best actor.
Right.
But he was in The Thing, if you remember the remake of the not remake, but prequel was
He
it probably.
was.
Yeah, he was the guy who actually spoiler.
Right.
Who is in the beginning of the thing.
Right.
But he wasn't part of that film, but he was playing that part. But he's a really great. He was playing Santa Claus in my film, but I had to cut
him out.
almost entirely because I was stupid. I was really stupid.
No, but I mean it's that's the thing with creative processes that we're talking about. One has to really let the artist do whatever vision he has. We never ask a painter, "Hey, could you paint me a portrait?" and then cut 1/3 of it.
No.
But why do we do that with movies?
Money. It costs money, and that's the thing. The artists never have the money. The money comes from the people above, and like Alexander, you met him, my producer now.
Right.
He, I know that he will have really strict things he would say for the story and all of that. But I think it's really important to find the right producer. To find the producer you not only believe in, but also you feel comfortable arguing with. Telling you your points. And that's with actors as well, because many actors are really hard on the director.
Many actors, they don't really understand the dynamic, actor-director dynamic.
Yeah, like Sam Raimi said once, the guy who made Evil Dead and Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man films, he said that to find the right actor is just as hard as finding the right script, because the thing is that he made a lot of playful scenes. It was like the actors didn't even understand what he was doing sometimes, and it's really fun to watch his behind the scenes films. But the thing is that if you want an actor to do something, the actor needs to know why.
Exactly.
But many times it's hard to explain stuff when you are playing with the camera. So if you use maybe Scandinavian actors that are not that familiar about like the thinking pause in a scene that takes normally just a half second, but in the film maybe it takes 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have the close up and
Right.
you need to explain that. Why do I need to stand like a moron here just looking at the wall? But that's just an easy thing to explain. But then it comes to if you want to put action in that scene and if you want to put somebody dying, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it gets complicated real quick.
Yeah. And but we are making a lot of art house in Norway and theater stuff, and then we have the serious drama, and then we're making the blockbusters. You know,
Right.
Quake is the other film, and Bølgen, the Wave.
Amazing, man.
And then you have, and then you have like we don't have anything between that.
Okay.
So
It really seems like you really scatter your time and focus it 100% like all into your craft. And like you even said before, you feel like, do you have time for a relaxing or downtime, or does this give you energy enough to relax?
yeah, I think that's the thing. It
Yeah.
gives me energy enough, because when I'm totally exhausted and I get home, it's like for me, I put a movie on and I just put myself on the sofa and just then I relax.
Right.
But if I have like a week off, like I did, like the first vacation I've had now for 5 years was like last week, I think. I went to the west side of Norway just to climb mountains, and it wasn't me. It was like it was fun when I was exhausted and I just wanted to go to bed. But when I woke up in the morning, I felt like, what the fuck, what I'm going to do?
Right.
I just need to wait now for 4 hours before I'm going to start walking. It was like I just felt like emptiness, and that's probably my burden, or what you call I can't. Yeah, I don't know. But when people talk to me about let's go to a party or stuff like that in the weekend, I can't look forward to that. I'm looking forward to the project, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah.
No, you have a good point. One has to also stay faithful to what gives you energy, and because what gives you energy will help you serve your craft better.
I think so.
You can't go hiking if that's not you.
No.
Because everyone has been obviously Corona has made everyone stay within the borders of Norway.
Yeah.
So not that many people can travel abroad,
But I think hiking is a good thing for me, but then I need to hike all day long. You know what I mean? I can't have that 4 hours breakfast and rest.
no.
Then I'm going crazy.
What am I doing?
Yeah, what I'm doing here. And it's I should actually start training a lot, because if I get into that, but then I don't have time for films probably, because my brain is strange. I get focused on one thing and then I'm only focused on that.
You like to obsess over specific things.
Yeah, and I can't lose that obsession, because then I think that's also the reason why everybody is talking about, I want to make a feature, I want to make a short film, I want to do this and that, and they never do. It's because they are losing. They have 10 different projects. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they don't focus on one. And
so, what would be your greatest advice for a guy who wants to start something, who loves movies, who might write a little bit, who really wants to enter or maybe enter this field, maybe Norway? Let's say specifically Norway.
Yeah.
What would be your advice for this?
It's two things then. It's one thing is that follow. Cliche again, follow your dreams, but don't make it a dream, make it reality. Just do it, because if it goes bad, it's you have always an opportunity to make it right afterwards, to make a new film or make a new thing. You got to remember that I think Hitchcock made like 60 films or something.
Wow.
And he's only famous, like really famous, for maybe 8 of his films.
Right.
And he's the biggest ever.
Of course.
And the other thing is that try to be part of your friends and people you know about their projects, even if you don't care about their projects like you do with your own, because if you help them, then they will help you. And to make a film, you can't do it alone. I'm saying that, of course, you can take a camera and go out film, but I could never make like the shot we did with Alpha X without you.
Right. No.
And you have to ask people, and you have to show them that you are willing to help them as well. And that I think we are lacking a lot nowadays, because we are only sitting home thinking, I want to do this, calling some people, and you never do something back. And
again, back to the word of the day, entitlement. You know,
Yeah.
people are asking first,
Yeah.
what can you give me, rather than what can I give you? What can I do for you is not, the first question people have in mind. How can I help?
Yeah.
No, it's what am I getting?
And that will make things a lot easier, I think, because I don't think I have had any projects, and I made 4 features now without almost any money, and I don't think I've had any big problems on my feature that I know about, that people are angry at me because of pay or anything like that,
Right.
because I've at least tried to be as honest as possible, and I helped most of the people in later project or project before.
Amazing.
And I think that's important in this industry. If you're a painter, you can do it by yourself.
And what's the second one? You said there were 2.
No, those the two.
That was
The first one I don't remember now, but it was what was it? It was
You mentioned the first one was obviously one has to have
the dream, but make the dream reality.
goal, the
Yeah.
dream.
Big,
Second one, learn to work.
but nowadays you could also, like you said, it's going streaming now. It's going YouTube,
Exactly.
and you're making now a podcast. But I see like YouTube bloggers. Is that
Right.
Yeah, I see many things they bring out is about pillows they bought, or you know what I mean, about nail polish or whatever, and they are hitting like million subscribes.
It's a strange world, isn't it?
It is.
Where you do like a little dance in front of an app
and you
you
get million hits.
It's a strange world.
And that actually ruined a lot of me for films as well, because when did you go to circus when you were young?
Of course.
Yeah. I can't go to a circus anymore, because if I go to a circus, this sounds strange to you probably, but
I can't wait to hear.
I know I can look up, like, let's say dancing tigers. I know I can look it up on YouTube and look at 10,000 and much incredible dancing tigers than I do in a circus. And it ruins a lot of the experience I had before of going and visiting theme parks and stuff like that. It doesn't give me anything more, but stories do still. To make a story is something that still, you can't make a YouTube channel and talk about the story the same way you can show it in a cinema or...
Absolutely.
So
what next project should we have our ears and eyes open to?
this film I'm making now,
Right.
the one you know a little bit about, is called Pandemic.
Right.
And this is a really strange one because nobody's ever going to watch this. I made it, it's only going to be on 2 VHS cassettes. And it's going, I'm saying nobody, but it's going on festivals around the world.
Okay.
But it will never be screened if I'm not part of the festival or somebody in the crew or actors. Because it's only going to be on a box.
Right.
So it's never going to hit online or anything. It's just because I'm going against all the
Right.
the streamers, streaming channels and stuff like that.
So we should. You guys are hearing. You guys need to look out for Pandemic. It's in festivals near you that you might not see.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. And but the next thing we are working, me and Alexander, is of course Alpha X. But I think that's some years still since the pandemic and everything. And then it's a documentary about what I've been talking about now, about how movies saved my life. And we did a pilot for that was really well received at the founding places. So we got a little bit funding from them to create the pilot. So now we are going to try to create the documentary. It's called Gay Pussy Lovers. And
Interesting title.
It
Definitely clickbait.
It was my free space when I was young, because it was something that didn't make no sense. But still, it was like the free space where everything made sense for me. Because the world didn't make sense for me at all when I was young. So I needed a place where everything made sense. And in the movies, it was like universe after universe after universe that you had to cooperate with, or you know.
Exactly.
So I made Gay Pussy Lovers on the top of the mountain in Honningsvåg, where I'm from, and now we are going up there to make my universe with He-Man and Turtles and everyone when I was young that I loved.
It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for
really, really honored to have you share this journey with us. Because we don't really hear a lot about behind the scenes, especially in the Norwegian business and industry.
Yeah. It's been really nice.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, that's a wrap, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.